The Utah Jazz are currently in one of the most unique positions in the entire NBA, and obviously not that many people are talking about them because they're the Utah Jazz and because they're not that great this year. And now they're not horrible, but they're also not great. Like, they're in the middle of the pack, and that's never where you want to be, especially in the NBA, because you're not good enough to win at a high level, but you're not bad enough to get a super high lottery pick. So you're going to be kind of staggering for a little bit if you don't make moves, and that is the situation they currently find themselves in. But they're in a very, very unique spot, and they can do a lot of different things with how their roster is currently constructed and how to get out of this spot they are in. And I think it is very exciting, and Utah Jazz fans should be extremely, extremely excited about this future. And I'm getting to a few moves that I think personally they could actually do. We're going to go over their current situation they're in, how they can get out of it, and all the different avenues they can take to do that. And I really am excited for this video. So if you do like it, point the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me, and watch the video all the way through if you do like it. But without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. So like I said earlier, they're in this situation where they're kind of middle of the pack, because with the talent that they have, guys like Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Larry Markkinen, among a few other players as well, they're too good to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, and they're not going to be competing for the #1 overall pick. So it's going to be very hard for them to get superstar level talent through the draft, and plus they're Utah, so they're not going to be getting superstar talent through free agency, so they really can only develop on their interior development at this point. And I'm not sure the ceiling of this team, even at its peak, is anywhere near a championship contending level team. So they find themselves in a spot that a lot of mid to small market level size teams find themselves in, often being middle of the pack, not really knowing what to do, because you don't want to blow it up and be horrible, but you also don't want to stay in the middle pack and not ever be able to compete for a championship. It's just a very weird situation to be in, and with them now being at 15 and 19, and them being a fringe play-in team, that is exactly the situation they currently find themselves in. But like I said, unlike most teams in this situation, they don't have tons and tons of veteran talent holding them down for their future and things like that. I legitimately think this team is perfectly set up to go in the future in many, many different ways. One of the reasons I think this is because even before they make any trades, if they keep the roster how it currently is, they still have an extremely underrated young core, in my opinion. They have Keontae George, who has showed a lot of promise. Now, although I don't think he will ever be a star, I think he can definitely be a starting level shooting guard in this league. You have Walker Kessler, who's already one of the better rim protector and rebounders in the NBA, and he's even shown a little bit of improvement in his offensive game this season as well. Ochai Agbaji, no, he's probably going to be more of a role player throughout his entire career, but still. Then you have Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton is still legitimately very, very solid, and maybe even a starting level point guard in this league, or he is a great six man. He can serve a lot of different roles on a lot of different teams. Taylor Hendricks, in my opinion, was one of the steals of the draft class. Now, although he hasn't got a lot of playing time this year, I'm sure he will at the latter end of this year. And also, I just think Taylor Hendricks' future is very, very bright. And then lastly, you have Bryce Sensabaugh, and Bryce Sensabaugh, in my opinion, is going to be a starting level player in the NBA as well. When they give him a chance, he's going to be very, very solid, and I think he'll be a great floor spacer. He plays very hard, and he's kind of like a poor man's Desmond Bane right now, and his ceiling probably is a guy like Desmond Bane, which is a very, very high level player. And before they touch anything, they make moves, do anything, their future in their young core is very, very bright. And you add on top of that, in the next 2 drafts, they have 4 first-round picks to their name. They're only going to add to this young core, and they're only going to get a brighter and brighter future as time goes on, especially depending where these picks end up falling. They could be lottery picks one day, no one really knows. So I think for sure this future in this young core has a very, very bright one, even before they make any deals. And now the chances are they will eventually make trades and probably trade off some of their better pieces in favor of developing their young talent and drafting. And I think that they're in a perfect situation to do that as well, as because with Larry Markkinen, let's be honest, no matter what you do with him, you're going to be getting a great return for him no matter what. You already got multiple young guys, you already have won a lot of games with Larry, and Larry's value is at an all-time high right now after last season, and he's still playing at a very high level this season. His value is very, very high. It's probably about the highest it's ever going to get in his career. So if you could trade him right now, you can get multiple firsts, a few young guys, or even a high-level young guy already, and there's just so many avenues you can go with trading a guy like Larry. And like I said, they got him for very, very cheap. And honestly, no matter what, their return on investment on Larry is going to be extremely, extremely solid. And then a guy like John Collins, you could also get a very solid package for him if you trade him to the right contender. Now, yes, he's not as high value as he once was in his career. He is still a guy that people will maybe even give you a late first from a contender, or even a package of a lot of young guys. You never know what you can get for a guy like Collins. Jordan Clarkson, his value is extremely high. If you trade him to a contender, a ton of people will give you picks for him. He's a very high level versatile scoring guard that any team would love to have coming off their bench, and he's just a perfect contending role player type player for someone. And someone like the Lakers would give you a boatload of picks if you traded someone like him to them. And then also you have kind of like the other guys like Kelly Olynyk, who although you're not going to get a haul or anything for Olynyk, you'll probably get a second round pick or maybe even a random young guy. You never know if you trade him to the right contender. Like the Warriors, I'm sure would love a guy like Kelly Olynyk, and they think they're still going to try to contend, so they would probably give you a few seconds for Kelly Olynyk. And then you even have Sexton, who Sexton is by far the oldest in their young core, you could say, so he's probably the only guy that would get traded out of them. And even Colin Sexton, like I said, due to how he plays and his skill set, a contending level team will probably give you a first, because it's not going to be a good first anyway, so they'll probably give it to you unprotected and say, screw it, yeah, give us him, and he'll be a great player off our bench, and hopefully he can help us win a championship. So they have tons and tons of potential trades they can make. They have tons of guys that have very high value to their name right now that they could get very legitimately good players for. And I just think overall, their young core as it is already one of the probably top 10, top 15 ones in the NBA if you really like their rookies that they have. And then on top of that, you add that they already have tons of first round picks, and if they make trades and get even more young guys and even more picks, that young core is only going to get better and better and better. And with how good this Utah front office has been recently, I think I have full trust in them to really take full advantage of the situation they are currently in. It's a very, very real chance by the end of this year, they will have a starting lineup that looks like Bryce Sensabaugh, Keontae George, Ochai Agbaji, or Bryce Sensabaugh, either one, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler, and Colin Sexton off their bench. Like, there is a very real possibility that is their main 6 guys for them at the end of the season. And then on top of that, they will have other role players or other young guys in a stockpile of draft picks that they were able to acquire from the trades that they were able to make. And I just think overall, the situation they're in, although there might be some growing pains at the end of this season and maybe early on going into next year, I do think in about 2 to 3 years, this Utah Jazz team is going to be extremely, extremely scary with whatever they decide to do. I think their young talent is going to really serve them well going forward, and I just think they're in a great situation to really take full advantage of their situation that they are currently in. And I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in watching how this is going to play out, and I'm very excited as well to see how it plays out, because I think they could potentially really hit it out of the park and really be a great team for years and years to come if they play their cards correctly. But unfortunately, guys, that's more for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think the Utah Jazz are in a good situation? What do you think they should do going forward? Are your thoughts in the comment section below? If there's any point, hit the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute world to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need a blessed day. All glory to God. See you next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.